Hey everybody, it's me here, Michael Franti on the Stay Human podcast. Man, we are super excited because we've got a new album that is coming out. It's called Work Hard and Be Nice. 17 songs, that's right, you heard it, 17 songs filled with optimism and stories about how we get through challenging times and still hold on to our humanity. We can't wait to get back out on the road with you guys, so stay tuned to all of my socials. You'll get the information first about when we're going to be touring next. In the meantime, enjoy all the songs on the album, Work Hard, Be Nice. You can Spotify it, you can stream it all over the place, you can download it on iTunes, you can even get the CD from michaelfranti.com. So check it out. Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Michael Franti here, and welcome to the Stay Human podcast. You hear the crowd roaring, you hear the applause. They are all cheering today because I have the incredible, the one and only, just somebody who I just so love and admire and I'm just so enamored with the work that you do and what you bring to the world. This is the incredible Celeste Barber.
Oh,
what's up, Celeste?
Hi, darling. That's such a nice intro. That's a lovely intro. It's nice to see you, albeit via a screen, but it's nice to see you.
Yeah, well, it's always a treat to see you too. And for those of you who don't know Celeste, she's a comedian, actor, and I'm going to throw this word in there that you probably might not even have ever had associated with, but activist. You've become like a serious, like, just, you know, amazing person who's doing incredible stuff with your light that you have that is surrounding you, and you're shining it on things that really need to be shined on. So why don't you just tell people about, like, a little bit, first of all, about what you do in your own words for people who've never known who you are, what you do.
Yeah. Well, I'm an actor and a comedian. Well, first of all, I'm a trained actor, but no one really knows me for that. What people know me for is taking unflattering, inappropriate, scantily clad photos of myself and putting them online for the world to see. So I do parodies of, like, celebrity photos. So, you know, someone's in a bikini running down the street after a car, or dancing next to a car. I'm in a bikini running down the street after a car. So I just put a bit of a spin on social media, really. And that's what most people know me for, I think.
Yeah. And you've taken that and turned it, well, I don't know if you did comedy and stand-up before, but you do stand-up, incorporating what you do online as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I did. It's weird because I never wanted to do stand-up. I was just never, I mean, always knew I was funny, but I never thought I was ever really a stand-up. But then a friend of mine asked me to open for her once, and I think my youngest son might have been 8 months old, so I was just delirious. And I think I went, yeah, sure. No, I won't. Okay, yeah, I'll do it. And just was sleep deprived and agreed to do it. And then started doing stand-up. And then only a few months later, the Instagram stuff kicked off. So it kind of was a perfect storm, really, it all happening at once.
What was your first Instagram post that, I mean, were you just like posting, oh, here's my cat, here's my kids, and then you popped in this one post of me doing something ridiculous and then suddenly it blew up? Is that what happened? Or?
Well, exactly. I was one of those people that went, oh, my God, guys, I just ate breakfast. If you don't believe me, I'll take a photo. I became, just here's me with the green juice at the beach. And then I did one photo. Actually, a girl I went to school with has a website, and it's all about, that world of if you want to feel a certain way, you have to look a certain way, which I don't agree with. So I was just kind of like, this is a weird photo. So I did a parody of it. But the first photo that really blew up for me was it was Kim Kardashian half naked on a dirt pile, obviously. So I decided to get half naked on a dirt pile next to her, which is just a Wednesday, really. And that one went gangbusters. That went everywhere, that one.
I'm going to have to do that. I think right after we finish this, I'm going to go find a dirt pile. I'm going to get half naked, and I'm just going to lay on it.
Well, it's interesting because I remember when I did that, I was walking out of the house and I had like fishnet stockings on and heels and just a bra and undies and a massive trench coat. And Arpie, my husband, as I said, I'll be back in a second. And he went, I'm sorry. He looked at me. He's like, where fuck are you going dressed like that? And I was like, I'm actually just going to go down there where we used to live. At the end of our street was a like a BMX track, a dirt bike track.
Yeah.
And it was just after school had finished, like 4:00 in the afternoon. And I remember just going down and saying to these, preteen boys going, I'm about to take a really inappropriate photo. You fellas can stick around if you want, but I'm just letting you know it's gonna be pretty weird. And they were out of there. Like they just off. Yeah.
And so how many likes did that photo get, or how many shares, or what kind of views were you getting before that, and then what happened?
Well, I just kind of back then, God, I feel like I've been doing it for so long. It feels like now I don't really remember. I think I got something at that time like 50,000 likes, and I was like, no, that's a lie. That's a lie. I think I got something like 10,000 likes on that one. But the thing that happened was my followers went through the roof. Like overnight, I got something like 20,000 followers, like in a few hours, because the press got a hold of it and put it out there. And then I just got busy. I remember I started posting. I knew I was onto something. I knew it was funny, and that's the main goal of the whole thing, is just to make people laugh, because no one looks worse in those photos than I do. So I just started posting like an absolute maniac, like 2 a day, just wanting to really kind of get it out there. And the likes went up and the following. And then you become one of those people, you're like, this got this many likes, I'm important. And it's not, it's a very slippery slope.
Well, I want to talk about that part of it too, because you say like the goal is just to make people laugh and then it's just funny. But I think there's something else at work there, which is that, you make, I don't want to say you make fun, but because that's kind of a mean way of saying it. And it's not really making fun of people. It's just making fun of our culture and the way that we are so obsessed with body image and celebrity, and you make fun of that, and I think that there's like a sort of there's like a healing that takes place when you do that, because you show people you just being like, hey, I'm regular mom at home, and I'm like, this is what it actually looks like when I go groceries shopping. I don't like just put my long leg up on the top of the car in a mini skirt and flop close the thing down with a baby in one arm and 50 kilos of groceries in the other,
Yeah, there obviously is something underlying there as well, where it's a real commentary on social media and what really is expected of women, and what currency women have. And I understand, I'm the same about, poking fun at people. Everyone, but one or two, the people who I parody are such good sports. They totally get it. Like they've become quite good friends of mine, and, they'll send me photos of themselves to do or other people to do. But I think I'm so much more than just how I look, and I really like that about myself. How I look is the most interesting thing about me, and I kind of want to show that with Instagram stuff, to be like, imagine if the most important part here is not how I looked, but how you felt looking at the comparisons. And most of the time it makes people laugh. And that's important to me. That's very important to me. I don't think I look that bad. I think I look quite great, but it's not my main currency. And I think women, as women, we are taught that it is moving, it is shifting, but there's still such a long way to go with how we look is so important. So I wanted to kind of look at that through a different lens. And I talk about that in my stand-up show, where a model will post a photo in hardly anything, and she's empowering. That's empowering to women. And then I will post the exact same photo, and I'm brave. I'm a brave woman showing that I'm not empowering. And it's not a slight on that particular person. It's that thing, don't hate the player, hate the game. Because that's what it is. It's a big push down on us, and I'm trying to show a bit of fucking light into it. And like I say, I don't send drones into celebrities' backyards to get photos. I only use photos that they post, and I don't use paparazzi photos of them unless they have posted them. That's just kind of a rule I put on it. So it's out there for us to do, for us to comment on, I guess, and I just comment on it in my own way.
So I want to just get into, like, how did you get to this way? Like, what was the house that you grew up in? Like, did you grow up in a radical feminist house, or was it like, just tell me about your childhood?
No, I grew up in a pretty normal cookie cutter house. I have an older sister who is a nurse. She's excellent. And very funny. And I have my parents, my mum and my dad, who are still together. My dad is a cabinet maker, and my mum is a very creative person. And I danced a lot as a kid. I think I just always knew what I wanted to do. It wasn't a very progressive house. I was always pretty outspoken, though, but just in comedy. Actually, I shouldn't say outspoken. I'm really giving myself way too much credit there. I was just very loud. So I just made a lot of noise. And I didn't really have much to say. I just made sure I was always making fucking noise.
Why is that?
I don't know. I think
this is just that's how you always were, or were you trying to? Because I remember when I was a kid in high school, and I was always trying to be the funny one in class, but it was because I grew up in a house with 5 kids, and if you weren't like the funniest one or the loudest one or doing the best in sports or whatever, you got no attention, you know?
Yeah, right.
And so I was like a way of me trying to like be seen, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think because I struggled a lot academically, and I've got ADD and dyslexia. That's not diagnosed, but I'm diagnosing that. At school
I was the same kid. Like if they had Ritalin when I was a kid, they would have been chasing me around the class with a Ritalin dart gun. Like, get that guy, get the guy. You know,
I was on Ritalin. I went on Ritalin at 16. Changed my life. Completely changed my fucking life.
For the better, or for?
Oh, for better. Sorry, for better. So up until 16, I really struggled. But one thing I didn't struggle with was making people laugh. I always found it easy. Therefore, didn't give it much credit. I don't know. There's something I've realized about myself in the past few years is that for some reason I put something to be proud of needs to be something that you've had to really fucking work and ache and strive and struggle for. Whereas I don't find that with comedy. So I think, well, it's not a value because it's too easy. You need to be doing something harder. But lately I'm like, oh no, it's okay to just find it easy and be good at it and for that to be enough. So I remember as a kid I found that easy. Yeah. And so I just always did it.
So up until that point when you were 16 and there's this shift happened with Ritalin, what was your life like? What were the challenges for you on a daily basis?
Well, I know the way I look at it, when I look back at myself, I think I was hard work. I really do. And kids were pretty shit to me. Because I was an easy target. I get that. I'm loud and I'm not very smart. So, you know, it's easy to beat down on that a lot. I used to always just kind of run to, to the drama room, or I randomly would always have a teacher in whatever school I was at. I didn't go to many, like 4 schools, but there was always randomly a teacher, like an adult that I kind of had with me, or someone that kind of understood me. But I really struggled before I was medicated, essentially. I really, really did. And part of me now, again, looking back on it, is grateful for that because I've learned, I feel like I've earned my stripes. I've earned to really, you know, when there was one year, year 8, where a couple of girls who were the popular girls told the entire year, do not speak to Celeste for the whole year. And they didn't. So no one in that year spoke to me for a whole year. And so I found that was fucking hard. But I found a way to go, all right, well, I'm going to have to figure something out here. How am I going to do it? So write jokes in a corner or go to the drama room or just kind of be loud and they'd all ignore me, but I'd be louder and then I'd see someone accidentally laugh even though they weren't allowed to, and I'd be like, yeah, got him. So kind of it makes you earn your stripes, really. When everyone is against you, you go, well, I literally have nothing to lose, so fuck it.
Yeah. When I was a kid, I was this well, first of all, I was given up for adoption at birth, and my mother's white, my father's black and Nottoway Indian. And then I was adopted into this mixed family. They had 3 kids of their own. They adopted myself and another African-American son. So I grew up in this really mixed melting pot of a family, and there was different sexual orientations, and we all just chose different careers, and I grew up in this really mixed melting pot. But through that, I always felt as a kid that I was like kind of an outsider, and I always resonated with other people who felt that way. And so I was always like trying to just reach out to other kids who were kind of on the margins. And then as I grew up, and as a musician, I sort of spoke to that experience. And I see you doing that, it's not literal, but it's speaking to that part of people that's like, I see that you are held up to these like surreal standards of what the world's expectation of you is, but I get you, and you are, you don't have to try to do all that. I see that humanity in you.
Yeah, I do think that sometimes. I think, like I sometimes think with people, I'm like, that shit part about you that you really hate? Imagine if you didn't. Imagine if you didn't, and imagine if that was your jam. Like, and I'm not very smart, like academically smart. I can't spell, all that sort of stuff. And I hate that about myself. And I have quite full on anxiety and all that. And I'm like, imagine if that wasn't the worst thing in the world. Imagine how your day would be. And it's fucking different. Your day's different if you stop hating on that stuff about you that is different.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you get to that point though? I mean, so you went from, being this kid who was always, being pushed to the sides and ostracized, and then trying to fight your way in, but through comedy and through different things. Did you always feel like a sense of completeness of like, this is just who I am? Or was there some points in your life that you either had a teacher like you described, or some instance, some situation that you remember that kind of made you go, okay, there's a different way that I could think about things?
Yeah, I think for me, there were like, certain points, and as you say, teachers and that, but you just learn to get through it. That's what it was for me. I just learned to just get on with it, and that was enough. I've always kind of been like that. My motto is a little less conversation, a little more action. And that's kind of how I've always been.
Well, that's the end of this podcast then. We got to just cut it off.
Yeah, see, I'm fine. Absolutely. But I kind of just have always just gotten on with it. I feel if I sit too long and people if I do something and people want to really ponder on it too long, I won't have the answers and I won't know, so I just keep moving. I don't think it's always the best thing, the way I operate, because I think a lot of it does come from a space of anxiety and, that shallow breathing and all that. So, but I know when I'm in my calmest state, obviously, like anyone, we produce our best work and our best selves. But I did have people when I was younger who would teach me how to do that. I remember when I was diagnosed with ADD, I write about this in my book, actually. so I was 16, so I'm still a child. So we had to go to the child doctor to be diagnosed. Whereas I was sick, I'm sitting in the waiting room with 4-year-olds going, "What's up?" But it's weird. I was like, "I'll babysit your kids while you go and get the drugs." But I remember hearing the doctor talk to my mum and dad, and the doctor said, you can see it from space. She has ADD, and medication will 100% help her. That's after I did all the tests. And I remember hearing my mum say, "We don't want it to change her. We just want this to help her. She's a lot. She's full on. She's loud. She's creative. And we like that. We don't want her to change. We just want school to be fucking easier. And we want her to be able to sit down and read a chapter or even a paragraph of a book." And hearing that as a 16-year-old girl was amazing. You kind of like, "Oh, thanks, Mum. That's wicked. I am all those things." And I had a great drama teacher, Miss Singleton, who unfortunately has since passed away. And she was my mate. She was always she got me to run classes sometimes, some drama classes, and would just, when she saw that all the kids were being shitheads and I was just kind of sitting alone, she didn't make a massive deal of it. She would just kind of say things like, what are we working on today? And I'm like, I have this idea for a thing. It wouldn't kind of dive into how that's going to change your life. It was more like, what are you rocking? What have you got going on? And I always remember that stuff.
Nice. Did she ever get to see you blossom and
No, I know that bumps. It makes me so sad. I think, well, not like it was a few years ago she passed away now, but I think she saw me when I started working on TV in Australia. I think she saw that and she would have loved that.
Nice.
Yeah.
What does it feel like to have come through that kind of a learning experience as a kid, and now you've written a book? Like you're describing, like you had a hard time reading, and now you've written a book. I mean, what does that feel like for you?
I don't think I could sit down and read it, but I can write it. To be honest with you, I'll listen to the audiobook. Yeah, that's kind of weird. I felt like that was a bit of an out of body experience. But in classic ADD fashion, I wrote 3/4 of that book in 6 weeks. I'm writing a book, bang, that's it. And I just pumped it out. I scared myself into it. This is what I've noticed when I agree to do jobs or something. I go, oh, like my first solo stand-up show I ever did, I was just randomly sitting at home and I went, I want to get, like, nothing was happening for me work-wise, and I like to, create my own stuff. And I was like, I really want to maybe do a stand-up show, and then booked 2 nights at this space in Sydney 3 months out from that date, and then just went, oh, fuck, I've never done it before. And it's sold out both nights, like straight away. I couldn't believe it, but I kind of scared myself into it. And that's the same with my book. I just went, oh, shit.
What's the editing process like for writing the book? I mean, just like internally, not like after you've written it and you give it to an actual editor, but just like you're going, God, do I really want to include this part? Like, maybe I should focus more on this thing. Or was there like stuff that was really fearful for you of getting out, or did you just feel like, fuck it, I'm just going to put it all out there?
Well, no, I was fearful of writing. I don't know if I was fearful. I was aware of writing stuff that involved other people and other people's stories, because it's all obviously my perspective and my opinion. And opinion isn't fact. So I'm always aware of that, and always open for people to be like, that didn't fucking happen. Or whatever. So when I was writing about being bullied at school, I was a little anxious about doing that. I didn't name anyone because I'm not in the business of ruining lives. So that made me a little anxious, but it was interesting. As I was writing it, I was like, oh, this was really shit. That was a really horrible time for you. I didn't kind of realize that I was bullied. I mean, I wasn't physically harmed. It was just kids being shitheads, essentially. Yeah. But I didn't realize that I was actually kind of bullied until I was writing it. The one thing that is off limits, so in my book and in my shows and stuff that I write, is my stepdaughters, just because I absolutely love them, and and they're 21 and 18, and I just kind of didn't need to dive into a land of, in my book, them growing up and their mum and me, and I just was like, no, we don't need to do that. The main way I edit, though, is I do what Hemingway did, and you write drunk, edit sober.
Okay. I will remember that.
Bang it out. The next morning you go, this is pretty good.
Speaking of kids, as a dad, for me, one of the hardest things for me was, because I was bullied a lot as a kid too. And then to see my kids go through that, and I was trying to like always figure out like, how do I help them and navigate them through this, but without showing up at school and grabbing some kid by the scruff of the neck and going, listen, little shit,
Absolutely.
And that, like, that's the instinct as a parent, is like, you want to be there to just like, but their parents, I'd show up and be at school and I'm like, oh, hi, Mrs. You're the kid who's fucking picking on my kid, like,
hi there, Mrs. Your kid's a shithead. Let's have a talk.
But how have you navigated that with your kids? Like, how do you just help them to find themselves and to find that power to stand up for themselves?
Well, it's interesting because when I started to get famous or whatever, I had all my 4 kids, so my 2 teenage stepdaughters and my boys at home, and they're teenage girls, and all of a sudden this bloody face is everywhere. So I used, if they'd come home and be like, so and so's being a bitch, I was like, do you need me to shame them to 5 million people? Because I fucking will. Like, that's how I would handle. I will shame them, and I'll put an end to this. But then I'd flip that with my parenting as well. I'm like, if you do not clean your room, I'm going to post about it on Instagram. And they're like, yeah, they freak out. But my little boys, they're only little. So Lou is 9 and little Buddy is 6. Lou's kind of going through that phase where it almost feels like the word bully is a bit of a buzzword as well. Yeah. I sometimes think kids can be shit and kids can be mean. And I think that is different to being bullied. So I find it quite hard when my son will go, oh, so-and-so's bullying me. And I'll just be like, well, what happened? And then if he says, he said I can't play soccer, and then I finished my sandwich and then we played soccer. I'm like, well, that's just a moment that you need to be careful with saying that stuff. Yeah. Because, again, it's always a touchy thing to talk about. I think going back to that idea of me having to work and just fucking, navigate your way through the trenches up until I was 16. And that helped really shape who I am. And I'm grateful for that. I'm not grateful for the bullying, because that's different to kids just kind of not getting you or not wanting to listen to your stupid joke all the time.
Also, we also run the risk of ostracizing kids because they were acting out and being mean to another kid, and now you've labeled them bully, and now they're that bad kid forever, when it was just a moment. Or it could be, and it's always the case, that something else is going on underneath all that at home or whatever that's causing them to act out in that way. And so we do have to really be conscious that, all of us do that at times. All of us are mean to another kid. All of us call another kid a bad name. All of us do those same things. We've all done it. And, but to label someone either the victim of that all the time, or to label someone the bully of that all the time, I don't think really does us a service at the end of the day.
No, I agree. And also, I think people are allowed to tell someone if they're being annoying, or if it's too much, or if this got like, that's not bullying. People don't have to always be like, everything you're doing is so amazing all the time and it's great, and even though you're really putting me out and this joke or whatever you're doing is non-fucking stop, I still have to give you. I don't think that's the case. I think maybe I'm a bit tough love like that, but if people are allowed to say, stop it, shut up.
Yeah.
I don't want to fucking hear it. Yeah. That's not being bullied. If they strap you to a tree and try and punch you, then it's on. But someone going, I don't want it, like my 9-year-old and his magic tricks. Like, sweetie, kids in year 6 don't want to see them all day. It's just how it is. They're not being bullies. They don't want to see you find the king of spades every 10 minutes.
Hey everybody, it's Michael Franti here on the Stay Human podcast. A few years back, my wife Sarah and I decided that we would start a nonprofit with the intention of bringing people with advanced stages of life-threatening illness, children and adults with special needs, and wounded veterans to see any live concert by any artist in any city in the world. And from that, Do It for the Love was born. If you have a friend or family member who needs music in that way, just write to us at doitforthelove.org, and we'll make sure to get them out to see any concert in any city by any artist. Do it for the love, y'all.
So what's it like being with a little aspiring magician during quarantine and just the quarantine? How has quarantine affected you? Also, as an artist, you know, you're somebody who, you know, a lot of your art is virtual on Instagram, but a lot of your art too is like in time in front of audiences and being out there in the world, or being in films, or, you know, promoting your book, or just generally being around people. So how have you found this time? I found it really, really challenging, because we bought a little apartment on the beach here, and it's perfect for the life we were living, which was, I was away, I was back, I was away, I was back. We were all away, we were back. We you know, we've got a great family unit and we're very stable, but that was our life. We lived in the States for 3 months last year. We here and there, and I was, even if I'm just overnight somewhere, but then lockdown happened. So we bought a 3-bedroom apartment when we were living that life, and then lockdown happened, and now that apartment can only be described as a 2.5-bedroom fucking apartment. It's and I got kids here and a husband here, and it's a lot. It's a lot. I miss traveling. I really do. I miss work. I love what I do. It's always been my first love. Before I met RP, obviously, I'm very lucky. From a very early age, I knew what I wanted to do, and I've always worked toward it no matter what. And then it was happening, and then it started to kick off, and I was like, fucking yep. And then this happened, and I was like, fucking no. Yeah. So I miss it. I mean, a lot of, as you say, what I do is on Instagram, but I was starting to kind of come off that and more on stage and writing books and writing TV shows and that. So it's hard, and it's hard to watch my little boys go through it as well. They kind of what do you tell them? I mean, this is something so many nights Sarah and I will just be reminiscing on the day, and we'll go, you know, when we were walking down the street and we saw every single person wearing a mask, I just thought to myself, have we actually fucked up the world this bad that none of us can breathe the air? Like, and where is the world going, you know, and how are we going to raise a kid into this world where, you know, my kid's 2 and he's got to wear a mask, you know, and it's just like, that's his reality and that's his way of growing. So how do you have those moments too, when you're just thinking like, what have we fucking done? And I see it in my, especially my youngest little buddy. Like, it's his first year of school this year, and he's hardly been there. And because, you know, we had lockdowns, and then when it first kicked off though, RP and I went, this is a bit scary, when we took the boys out of school early, like a couple of weeks before everyone else did. And it's really shifted him around a lot. I spoke to his teacher about it, and she said he's a little bit anxious, and, you know, he just wants to be at home with us. And it's interesting, you know, if we put the news on,
I've now noticed, I'm more aware of it. If we have the news on and they say this many deaths or whatever, I'll turn it off and I'll say to the boys, we're okay. We just need to, we are okay. It's going to be okay. You are safe. But like, we can remember back to a time before this, but a 6-year-old brain can't. A 6-year-old's like, no, I don't remember.
No, this is just it.
Yeah, I just remember kind of always feeling a little anxious and having to do this weird sticky stuff on my hands all the time and doom and gloom. So it makes me sad for them. And I have to now realize, because in my mind, I'm like, yeah, okay, well, when this is over and I'm like, what if that doesn't happen? What if it isn't just over and back to how it was? Because it's looking like that's a very real possibility.
Yeah. It's really super challenging. I mean, I think of it too. I mean, in terms of social media, it's a whole nother thing, because I have one son who's 33 and he grew up before there was social media. Then I have another son who's 21 and he grew up as social media was emerging. Now I've got a 2-year-old who sees us all the time posting and checking in with our social media. And it's just like, I feel like the world hasn't wrapped its head around things enough to understand, like, how do we use these things and how often should we be on these things? How do we shut them off? How do we get addicted to these things? How do we extract ourselves from these things? And yet there's all these new things that keep coming. And like, just like you were describing, I mean, my son is growing up in this time of when the president of our country is like tweeting every day, being the biggest bully out there. Like, this person's this is a loser. This is lying, Joe. This and this is blah, blah. Like, when the president is doing it, how do you tell your kid you shouldn't do that? How do you tell your kid not to go on Twitter and he goes, oh, the president just did it, you know?
Yeah.
So how are you navigating social media for your kids, especially being someone who is so immersed in it?
Well, iPads. My boys have iPads, and they terrify me. I hate them. I struggle with them a lot. And I have just I'm one of those parents that if we go out to dinner with a group of friends and all the kids are there on their phones and my kids are sitting there with some cards going, and I'm like, dude, I can't. I go the other way, and it's not always good, but I'm trying to do it now with my kids where it's a reward. If something happens, you can have your iPad for a bit as a reward, not get off your iPad and come and live your life. But I was talking to someone the other day who had a really good point, and it made me realize how much I'm actually on it. She said, back in our day, our parents or whatever had books. So, they had the phone book, or we had a recipe book, or we had a drawer with all of our bills in it. And so as kids, you when you look at your parents, you see, your mum's got the recipe book, so she's going to be cooking a cake, or she's going to be cooking, or that the bill drawer's open, so they're going to be doing, you could kind of have your own little map and navigate your way through it. Now everything is on this. So kids don't know where you are at any point. You could be tweeting a bully tweet, or you could be ordering flowers for your mother-in-law. Like, you don't know what it is. So I actually get my 9-year-old to say to me now, if I'm on my phone, he'll go, Mom, are you doing work or what are you doing? And I'm like, perfect. No, if it's not work, I don't need to be on it. But it terrifies me. And also the fact that someone was telling me that all the dudes in Silicon Valley, none of their kids are allowed to have phones or anything because these devices are made to be addictive. They make them to catch you. I was like,
they make them to be dopamine devices,
Yeah. Steve Jobs didn't let his son or his children have phones or iPads. I was like, well, fuck that. I'm not doing it then.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Steve Jobs. Thanks for ruining our life.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to talk about just the hot husband for a second. This is Oppie, her husband.
Yeah.
I guess my question is, just how hot is hot husband?
You've seen him. He's good.
He's fucking hot.
He's so hot. He's so great. Yeah, he's he just gets better with age. Like literally, I have been out the other night, 2 nights ago at dinner, and then I looked across the table and I went, far out. You look really good. And he's like, thanks. But he's gorgeous. He's gorgeous, man. He's Maori, so he's got that beautiful caramel skin.
Yeah. What's that like? I'm just curious, just in a sort of, this is the paparazzi side of me coming out. Like,
please.
Do you have people DMing you going, how can I link up with hot husband? I mean, what's going on?
Well, people don't actually come straight to me. They go to his account that I think they think I don't have access to. And they're like, damn, how do I find a man like you if you're not happy? And I was like, don't go breaking up happy homes. What are you doing? And it's weird too, because if I go down the street, I'm a very kind of fine but nondescript looking person, and I can kind of get away with it. If I'm with him, no, because he's so beautiful and like unique looking.
Yeah, he's striking.
They'll kind of go, oh, hot husband, and then they'll go, where is she? And I'm like, damn it, you ratted me out with your hotness.
And how has he, grown and evolved with you being so Instagram huge, and how has his life changed as a result of that? And was it easy for him, or did he just like slip right into it? He's like totally cool, he's just a mellow guy all the time, or was there ever like, honey, this thing's like, well, slow down on this, or
No, he never says slow down on it. We've always had that. It's always been our dream and our goal, or whatever, that us being together was that I would work and he would have the kids, essentially. So, and we're so lucky that has happened. And he's so supportive. He's like unbelievably so. Like, you go do that, do what you need to do. And he always says to the boys, mum's working. If I'm sitting on the couch doing this, but I'm posting a photo, or I'm, and the boys will be like, oh, come on. And Arpie's great. He's like, mum's working so we can have this. So yeah, he's awesome. And he surfs a lot more, and his best mate who lives down the road just got a new boat. So he's all right.
Nice.
He's doing fun.
Talk me through your creative process. So like, you wake up and you're like, oh, okay, what am I going to post today? Do you have like a photographer now? Do you have somebody who helps you get anything together? Do you take the pictures yourself? Like when you get an idea for something, how does it happen? And then how do you make it come to be?
Well, with my Instagram stuff now, I've always just done it myself. It's weird. I was meeting with people in the States last year, and they were like, right, so like who puts the copy at the bottom for you? And I was like, oh no, I write the captions. Like, right, so is there like a cinematographer? I was like, dude, that's all me. I take like, it's all it is. And it blows. I can't believe it. That's what I want to keep it though, is just very low key and what a normal person would look like. I have a folder in my phone of photos that I want to do, and it just I have to admit though, it is a bit harder now, because I did one last week, a Halle Berry coming out of the beach. Yeah. And I said to Arthie, I was like, it's on, let's go. And so we ran down to the beach, and about 5 people came up to me, and I was like, go away, I'm doing a thing. And they're like, it's because I don't want people to film me doing it, because it's a sketch show for me.
Gives away the gag, yeah.
I want to put it out there for what it is, not have it diluted down. And people are really good sports, but I feel like a massive dickhead now when I'm in my driveway in bright blue underwear, and my mates are like, morning. I'm like, oh, it's weird. But sometimes I'll do it if it's if everyone's done it. Sometimes there's photos of usually the Kardashians, or Beyonce is a good example. If she does something and it's everywhere, I kind of don't always want to do it. I just want to steer clear of it. But other times if something comes up and I'm like, this is very timely, very now, I've got to get onto it and get it out. But other times I'll just say, if it's a nice day, I'll just say to Arpie, let's go to the beach and do a ton of stupid shit. And that's how it comes. So it's not very creative.
Well, so with all that, attention, the fact that people are noticing you and waking up to your images and really excited to see you. You've been able to take that now and use that light to shine it on things that are needing attention. In particular, recently the fires that have just ripped through Australia, and you raised a ridiculous sum of money. I have no idea what it is. You're probably too shy to even say what it was, but just go ahead and fucking say it.
$52 million. I'm not shy. $52 million.
Somehow I knew you weren't that shy.
No
that's
way.
incredible.
I'm proud of that.
Yeah. So tell me about that. Like, how did that come to be? And what was the passion that just like woke that up in you? And
yeah, well, those Black Summer fires were like, I mean, I get emotional just thinking about, oh my God, what the absolute fucking devastation. Like that was Armageddon. And seeing it on the news was one thing, but Arpie's family were in the middle of it. My mother-in-law and my brother-in-law, all of it, where Arpie grew up in Eden on the south coast of New South Wales in Australia, was on fucking fire. And we were talking to them about it, when they could have reception, because fucking towers were going down. And my mother-in-law Joy was like, there is no one here. There is no one here. Like, and she is one of the strongest women I know. 17 years of having that woman in my life, and we have come head to head a lot. And I love and respect her so much, but I heard it in her voice. And she was like, there's no one here. We're all on the news and there's no one on the ground. What the fuck? Like, and at the time our Prime Minister was in Hawaii on a holiday and she was just terrified. And I went, and, our volunteer firefighters in New South Wales RFS are volunteers. So, there's women and men running out there with like T-shirts wrapped around their faces and wearing Converse sneakers with a hose and an 80-foot flame. And you're like, well, they're doing the best they can. These people are unfucking believable. So I just went, well, how can I help? I don't know what to do. I just thought maybe if I can raise some money. And this is also an actor and a comedian mentality of how to fix things, thinking that they're just going to drop a fire truck out of the sky if I raise money. I didn't really know what to do. But I thought if I can raise some fucking money, we can hopefully, I don't know, inject it into something within the hour and it'll be fixed. So I set a goal for $30,000. Don't know why, just picked 30 grand. Set it up on Facebook for the New South Wales RFS. It's a New South Wales Rural Fire Services, for their trust. And just said, I think the caption was, "This is terrifying. Please help any way you can." And the reason I decided to do my own as well is because I saw, with social media gained a lot of attention, and a lot of people were putting up going, this is really scary. If you can donate, you can do here for the wildlife, here for the firefighters, here for the people that are losing their. And it was just that thing where social media doesn't really allow you to sit and think too long. It's 15-second stories, year in, year out. So I thought I'll just set this up, and I had a lot of most of my followings overseas, and I had a lot of people going, "What can I do?" And I was like, "Oh, well, you can donate here. This is easy. It's a click and you're in." And I did, and within minutes, 30 grand, and I went, shit, okay, up it. And then the next morning, woke up to Arpie. That was like in the afternoon. The next morning, woke up, and Arpie kind of woke me up and said, "You need to up the goal. We've just hit 1 million." And I went, "Sorry?" And then it just was unbelievable, the support. And the thing is, I remember so clearly talking to my mother-in-law and me going, "It's at 16 million, Joy Bell. It's just, and then Arpie and I were all over the news. And Joy was all over the news. But I just remember those moments talking to her, and her just being so grateful for not feeling alone anymore. she couldn't fathom that Natalie Portman posted about it and sent money, and that someone in Portugal or, you know, in Poland got their coins together just to send it because they saw a video of me talking about her. And that was the main thing. Obviously the money is needed, but that was the thing that really helped people who were then evacuated onto boats that weren't, the government didn't send in any fucking ships or anything to get people out. It was, luckily my mother-in-law lived next door to a guy who owned a tugboat, and they could evacuate to that, when my father-in-law had to be evacuated elsewhere. But it was that knowing that power to the people, like people are rising up. We're going to do the best we can to help out. That was the main thing. But, you know, it's fucked. People are still living in tents who lost their houses. The money hasn't been distributed yet. So it's tricky.
Wow. Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah.
I want to touch on that, what you just said about that sense of feeling alone. You know, I think that's one of the things that's come up for me and during the quarantine is I feel this deep sense of loneliness in my heart that it comes out at times, and it's really been awakened by having to not be forced to not be around people. Like, I'm around thousands and thousands of people every night. 6 months of the year I'm on tour. I talk to fans before the show. I talk to hundreds of fans after the shows. I'm really in close with them, and being just like isolated from people has really brought up this thing for me of how lonely I've felt in my life. Even being on tour at times, I'll go and I'll play for thousands of people, and I'll have like many 30-second conversations throughout the day. And I'll go back to my hotel room at night, and I'm like, here I am just by myself, you know, and it's something that wears on me. And during this time, it's like, I felt at moments this incredible sense of unity, like the fact that one person in Wuhan breathed on one other person, and that single breath affected the entire world. Like, that makes me feel this sense of like, whoa, it's kind of scary the way these viruses work, but also in another way, it makes you feel like, how fucking connected are we that could actually happen? And so I've gone through this like vacillation between those two feelings of like incredible loneliness and incredible sense of empowerment of like that we really are connected. Have you felt that?
Yeah, I have. I felt that. I can totally, that feeling of loneliness resonates with me a lot as well. And I thought I really liked it. There was part of me was like, no, I genuinely like being alone. I've noticed that about myself. But that can then turn dark. It's not that dramatic, but it's actually not as healthy as I thought, where I was like, I just like to be alone. But then when I am for too long, I'm like, oh no, this goes to a different place when I'm like that. For too long. But for all the downfalls of social media, and the internet, which I do believe there really are a lot of downfalls, that idea of us being us being able to chat now, or, you know, being so connected, it makes me feel like the world is in one aspect a really big place, but also we're all in this together. Like, and I know that's been used so much, but that has really helped. Like, I had a really bad moment of anxiety last week, and I posted about it, which I don't really do. I just kind of did. And I just posted a photo from my bed and said, this has been me this has been my view for the past 3 days. Anxiety 3, me 0. And the love that came in was like, it got me out of bed. It 100% got me out of bed. And I have the love of my husband, and my family's close by, and my children, which is great. But there was something about that universal idea of people going, we get it. We get it. This is a real thing, that it was kind of comforting in my loneliness.
Yeah. I think I want to wrap it up with that thought that you said, because I really feel like what I said at the start of this is really true. Like, I feel like what you do with your work that you get me. And even though I've come from a very different experience than you, I look very different from you, I feel like you get that part of me that is like, is just gets worn out by all the superficiality, not just on social media, but it just in life in general and the way that we interact with one another. And that there's this longing of just being seen for just being me and being my authentic self, warts and all. And I feel like that's what you show through your humor, and it's super inspiring. And I feel like that's what the Stay Human message is, in my film. It's like the way to stay human is to be able to see that you have these strengths and these weaknesses and these fears and this beauty and this challenge. And that's what makes you be a person and makes you be human. And when you can see it in someone else and just hold them for that and not judge them and not try to put them down and not try to build them up either, but just try to like hold space for their authentic self, that's how we stay human. That's how we hold on to our humanity. And what are things in your life, or how would you describe staying human? What does it mean to you to stay human?
For me, I think it helps me to stay present. If I'm present in a moment, that makes me feel more grounded and therefore more human. I have to say that is one of the hardest things in the world for me, is to stop the noise and to sit. I have the tattoo on my arm, Be Here Now, that I've had there for 11 years now, and I have to look at it and be in that moment as much as possible. And that helps me like myself more as well, and kind of cut out that noise and remember what it is that I'm good at and what people love me for and what I love myself for. Having children as well, and young littles, we've got little Taj, but that, holy crap, like I said, when I was in bed, my beautiful little buddy came in and he just had this moment. It was my third day or whatever of just going, I'm out, and Arpy being amazing. And Buddy came in one morning and went, Mum, can you get up and help? And I went, sure. And then you just got to. He was just like, he's 6. And I mean, it's not like he has a depressed mother or anything like that, but it's just that moment where he's like, come on, let's go. Can you help? And I went, yeah. Babe, I can. And that, they really kick me in the dick when it comes to wanting to stay human, as you say, and stay grounded and stay connected to what it is that we do and why we do it.
Yeah. Well, you got any final thoughts for people out there?
No, just fucking hold on. We'll get through it, team. We'll just push through and do what makes you happy, and just do what makes hold on, and all the love, always all the love.
So, Celeste, thanks for being with us today, and she's got a book that's out. I can't wait to read it. I've got to go find it. And you had an audiobook for that, because I'm one of those ADD.
I have an audiobook for it too.
Okay, good.
Yeah, you can get all of this. You can get all of this on celestebarber.com.
And follow her. If you don't follow her already, follow her on Instagram. It's something that will brighten your day and also just make you feel like we're talking about. You're not fucking alone in this world.
You're not alone.
Yeah. So Celeste, thank you so much for being here on the podcast today. It was great to see you.
So nice to see you.
Say hello to Oppie and the fam, and I can't wait to have you guys back out here at the Soulshine when we can cross the border again finally, and flights are going. And in the meantime, I love you. Hang in there.
I love you.
And stay human.
Big love.
Hey everybody, this is Michael Franti here on the Stay Human podcast, and I've traveled all throughout the world, and I've been to many inspiring places, and one of my favorites is Bali. I fell in love with its people and nature the first time that I came here in 2007, and at that time, I had a dream to build a place that was dedicated to music, soul, and wellness. And from that, the Soulshine Bali Hotel was born. It's my boutique hotel located in the heart of Bali, surrounded by beautiful rice fields and the most incredible sunsets that you might ever experience. We do over 50 retreats a year, or you can just come here and spend a night on your own. So follow us on Instagram at Soulshine Bali.